Is there wealth beyond the wealthy? That is the question posed by our opening keynote speaker today for Money 2020 USA 2018. Frank Cooper III is a Senior Managing Director and the Global Chief Marketing Officer of international investment giant Blackrock. By combining new technology, empathy, and an evolved view of his expertise, the financial services industry has an unprecedented opportunity to serve a much wider segment of the industry and of our society as a whole. No matter where someone sits on this economic ladder, we can help people think big and feel a greater sense of potential of their security, control, self-worth, and even dignity. That's what money's about, right? Wealth is a concept that applies beyond the traditionally wealthy. At its best, our industry serves the needs of all people, from those establishing $1,000 for an emergency to those investing those $1 million in the capital markets. To achieve this goal, we must first help people understand their relationship between their wealth and their well-being. That's a tough one. Serving on BlackRock's executive committee, Frank Cooper III is responsible for shaping BlackRock's global brand and leading its marketing throughout the world, with overall responsibility for performance direction and talent development. But he's not always been a banker, and I love this part. Frank's impressive and very diverse career crosses tech, entertainment, consumer products. I love all three of them, including as CMO and Chief Marketing Officer at BuzzFeed and Senior Vice President at Motown and Def Jam Records. I love it. Chief Marketing Officer, Global Consumer Engagement at PepsiCo as well. So he's just had such a broad career. He is widely recognized as one of the most progressive and innovative thought leaders in the business and marketers. He has been acknowledged as one of the most 100 creative people in business and is a 4-time recipient of Billboard magazine's Power 100. What a man. Let's hear it for the revolutionary opening keynote speaker, Frank Cooper III. Hey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am very excited to be here today. I'm excited because we have an opportunity to start a conversation about people's relationship with their money and how that relates to their overall well-being. And for those of you who know me, or if you know anything about my background prior to becoming Chief Marketing Officer of BlackRock, you might think it's highly improbable that I would be here today discussing financial services. And on one level, you'd be absolutely right. Throughout my career, I've worked across technology, entertainment, and consumer goods, so the idea that I would end up in financial services seems, at best, an unlikely path. But the truth is, I've always been motivated by the idea of working to help expand human potential, to add value to people's lives through business. And I've had the good fortune of working across these industries, from working with some of the most iconic cultural figures in the world to elevating historically marginalized people, from crowdsourcing on digital platforms to building large-scale face-to-face interactions, all in the service of expanding human potential. And when I was at PepsiCo, I believed that marketing could be used to help create a sense of community around a brand. And we launched the Pepsi Refresh Project, which allowed ordinary people to access our marketing dollars to better their communities. And we launched Democracy, that's my contribution to humanity, Democracy, which allowed loyal fans of Mountain Dew to create all aspects of the next Mountain Dew brand. At BuzzFeed, we leveraged that platform and social media to extend empathy, allowing people to be seen for who they really are, to take those who have been historically marginalized and put them on center stage. And in music, I've always looked at music as a way to shape culture and a way to provide emotional insight into who we are as individuals and who we are collectively. And now I'm here at BlackRock heading up marketing, and my motivation hasn't really changed. I'm still working toward real solutions to help expand human potential through the work that we do. But some habits are hard to break, and so I want to start today's discussion with a cultural insight from music. And although it's a cultural insight from music, I think it's I think this insight touches upon one of the foundational opportunities we have in the world of financial services. And it's a line from Kanye West. Wait till I get my money right. And before I lose you, stay with me now. I know it's Kanye West. I know. But put aside the rants and the madness. Put aside whether you think he's a genius or a fool. I happen to think he's a genius, but that's neither here nor there. This phrase, wait till I get my money right, gives us insight into something I think is significant in our industry. That phrase, wait till I get my money right, reveals a widespread belief that many people have. It's the belief that if I can just get a certain amount of wealth, if I can just get my financial affairs past a certain point, then I can start living. I believe that quote hints at the potential that our industry has to help solve a core human need. So what is this core human need that financial services can address? What do people really want that financial services can help deliver? The simple answer is well-being. It's a heightened sense of well-being through wealth. We live in a period of time where people want greater meaning in their lives. They want the feeling of being alive. They want to be connected to other people. And we see this truth playing out all around us. We see it on college campuses where some of the most popular courses are about happiness and the good life. In fact, Professor Lori Santos at Yale, she teaches a course called Psych 157, and it's commonly known as the happiness course. Well, that course is now the most popular course in Yale's history. They moved her from a standard classroom to the largest auditorium on the campus, and that course is still sold out. We see it in food and beverage, where people increasingly want food and beverages that not only taste good, but that make them feel better, that enhances their health and their vitality. We see it in the fitness movement, as running and working out have moved from necessary chores to lifestyle choices, and yoga has moved from obscure to the mainstream. We see it in the rise of co-working spaces where entrepreneurs have opted for community, not just working spaces. And we even see it in coffee houses, where coffee lovers are yearning for a third place between home and work. People are telling us over and over and over again that they want a greater sense of well-being. In our industry, in the world of financial services, we've even tried to make that connection by using the term financial wellness or financial well-being. But the truth is that the goal is not financial wellness or financial well-being. It's simply wellness or well-being. The ultimate goal is an overall sense of thriving or flourishing. And I know there are definitely certain people who are obsessed with only increasing their material wealth without regard to any higher aspiration, and that's perfectly fine. We should serve them too. But they only represent a small minority of people. Most people understand that greed in itself is not good. It has no end, and it definitely does not enhance a sense of well-being for most people. You can have all the money in the world and have well-being still elude you. The problem is that many people are seeking this greater sense of well-being, but they lack a clear understanding of how wealth is connected to well-being. The problem is that in our industry and in the cultural discourse, we've disconnected money from well-being entirely. And we think of money as a means to a material end only. And I think that's in no small part because society portrays wealth not in terms of success, but excess. It's the lifestyles of the rich and famous. It's living larger than life. It's the material acquisitions of the ultra-high net worth individuals only that have become the markers of wealth. That's why when many of us hear the term wealth connected to well-being, we actually cringe, right? We associate it with exclusivity and elitism, or in the industry, we associate it with wealth management, where the idea is that someone must have investable assets above a certain amount for them to even become relevant. And for most, this idea of wealth has wafted out of reach into the domain of the ultra-rich. It now signifies a social economic status that far too many people believe they can never reach. Well, I believe that the reason why we struggle with the term wealth being associated with well-being is that we often conflate the term wealth with wealthy. We use it interchangeably, wealth and wealthy. But being wealthy is a destination. It's a certain amount in people's minds that represents that they've crossed the threshold. It's wait till I get my money right. But wealth is a set of behaviors and a way of thinking. It allows you to move forward financially no matter where you are, no matter your station in life, no matter your circumstances. And when you think about wealth in that way, you realize that wealth is not just for the wealthy. No matter where a person stands today on the social economic ladder, they can take a step forward toward greater financial stability. They can improve how they earn, spend, and save. They can express generosity. And for many more than are currently in the market today, they can invest. All of this activity in itself contributes to a heightened sense of well-being. Wealth is not just for the wealthy. And wealth is connected to well-being. You know, it's actually, for me at least, kind of strange. When we think about well-being today, we think about everything but money or wealth. We think about physical exercise and we say, that's connected to well-being. And we think about nutrition and we say, that's connected to well-being. We think about relationships and mindfulness and we say, they are connected to well-being. Meanwhile, in our minds, wealth sits outside the realm of well-being. We exclude money. I believe that's an artificial distinction. In fact, we used to think about running or jogging in the same way. You know, if you flash back to the 1960s, at that time, jogging seemed like a bizarre activity to most people at that time. If you saw somebody jogging down the street, you would say, "What the hell is going on here?" They would dress crazy. There were no clothes or designer athletic gear. There was no Lululemon for people. That they wore whatever was reasonably comfortable, and sometimes they looked crazy. But what was really strange to people was that they thought running or jogging was for athletes only, for the elite few. But over time, Nike and others helped more and more people understand that physical exercise, including running, improves health. And then they started to connect improved health with a heightened sense of well-being. Running, health, well-being. And today, we make that connection intuitively. You know, we see someone jogging down the street, and we generally don't question it. It's about health and well-being. And much like Nike and others connected the idea of running to health and health to well-being, I believe we can connect money to wealth and wealth to well-being. It's really the idea that an absence of wealth, like an absence of health, can all but guarantee hardship and make any reasonable access to well-being extraordinarily difficult. And there lies our opportunity. I'd argue there lies our obligation. We have an extraordinary opportunity to connect wealth to well-being. We have a chance to help many more people realize the common sense truth that wealth can open up opportunities for us all to live meaningful lives as we define it. It's both a commercial opportunity and an opportunity to serve a higher purpose. We can help people understand that wealth is a lot like health. It's an approach, a way of living, a way of thinking. It doesn't guarantee happiness, but it does give you more means to pursue it. But for us to get there, I think we have to embrace some new behaviors and embrace some new ways of thinking ourselves. First, I believe we need to bring an entirely different level of empathy to our business practices. We need to make empathy core to what we do and do it at scale. Putting ourselves in the shoes of others to intuit how they think and how they feel, how they act. And for any of you who are afraid of computers and robots taking over, this should be good news, because empathy is something that's very difficult to outsource or automate. Empathy requires deep skills in both listening and inquiry, listening with the intent to understand and asking questions with the intent to learn. If we lead with empathy, if we meet people where they are, we can do a much better job at providing solutions that are linked to outcomes that really matter to people rather than products we're looking to sell. Empathy is one of the foundational elements of trust. Second, we need to adopt a more holistic view of money, one that not only looks at investments, but one that puts it in the context of how people earn, spend, save, give, and invest. By opening that aperture and viewing the entire spectrum of money in people's lives, we can help them navigate the complexity of their financial lives and think more broadly about how to have a healthy relationship with money and wealth. And finally, and this is probably intuitive to the fintech startups in the room, but maybe not so much to the larger companies, we need to make technology and digital experiences the new center of gravity for our operating models. It's like Fitbit in the fitness space, using vibration technology to remind us when we're not getting in enough steps, right? I think we as an industry, we need to leverage technology to help us mitigate human shortcomings and nudge people toward more productive behaviors. At Blackrock, we recently invested in a company called Acorns, and I love what Noah Kerner, the CEO there, is doing with his team. They recognized that up-and-coming Americans didn't see themselves as wealthy enough to be investors. So they built a platform that tapped into that insight and utilized micro-investing to make investing small enough to nudge people toward saving and investing. Or another project that we've launched is using technology to rethink how we target consumers. Normally, the way in which we target consumers will be along traditional demographic lines of age and gender and income and geographic location and ethnicity. But we're realizing that that's no longer an effective proxy for how people think and behave. And so we're using machine learning to actually group people based on shared values and behaviors. It's a way in which we can mitigate the human bias in how we group people. And look, there are many, many more things that we can do, but I believe that empathy, this holistic view of money, and technology are the key pathways to reconnecting wealth to well-being. But look, I'm sure some of you are wondering, why do we have to go through all of this? Why is it so important for us to reclaim this connection between wealth and well-being? Well, to my mind, the simple answer is trust. We're currently witnessing, I think, one of the most dramatic losses in trust, not only in financial institutions, but in institutions generally. We've seen false intelligence about weapons of mass destruction. We've seen the horse meat scandal at Tesco. We've seen bribery claims at FIFA, Dieselgate at Volkswagen, major data breaches from Sony to Facebook. We've seen the Panama Papers and widespread tax avoidance. Trust in traditional institutions and authority has been pummeled. It's gotten to the point where we actually trust strangers more than we do traditional institutions. I mean, when you jump into an Uber or Lyft car, you're jumping into a car with a stranger, right? When you go to Airbnb and you sign up, you're renting a room or a house from a stranger. But we trust those strangers more than we do traditional institutions because they're policed by people like us. It's a platform that has provided a way for us to believe in ourselves rather than traditional institutions. In today's world, institutional trust requires a commitment to a higher purpose, not some broad social good, but demonstrating through consistent behavior that your commercial activity not only delivers profit, but serves a human need. I believe by reconnecting wealth to well-being, we can, as an industry, start to live out a higher purpose that's both meaningful and true. We can start to rebuild trust in a way that trust is established in today's world. I believe that's our challenge, and I believe that's our opportunity. We can help people get right with their money. I, for one, believe that's an awesome purpose, and I hope that all of you in your own way find some pathway towards making that connection between wealth and well-being. I want to thank each and every one of you for giving me your most precious currency, your time and attention today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and be well. Thank you.
Thanks. Wasn't that amazing? So as Frank said, people want meaning, a sense of well-being, and a sense of feeling alive. What an inspiring start. I absolutely love that.